one of the strength of India is young people. The young people are very good and little bit pushed, maybe pushed a little bit more, they can deliver impossible. That is what we have seen. And we are, fortunately, the technology has come to a stage today where we can make whole lot of affordable assistive devices for people with disability and geriatrics. We, instead of the usual inaugural, we decided therefore to ask 11 young team to present. It will be very brief, not more than 2 slides, and I'll be there to cut them off if they take more than 3 minutes, what they promise to deliver next year. And by next year, I am hoping that they will have each of these products commercialized and make available. Of course, there is a large role of every one of you, the NGO community, to ensure that what they made is really usable by people with disability. If it is not user friendly, we'll throw them out. If it is not affordable, we'll throw them out. This is what we are going to do, and we'll start with the 11 presentations, one by one. I will be on the stage because it will be exactly 3 minutes, not 1 minute more than, not 30 seconds more than that.
So we will begin. Our first team is Mr. Vikas from iWay Plus, and he's going to be presenting an application which helps in indoor navigation.
Okay, thank you and welcome everyone. My name is Vikas Upadhyay, and I just finished my PhD from IT Delhi. And my PhD topic was helping people with visual disability in indoor navigation for complex indoor spaces. And during this journey, I learned so many things about how the navigation work and how people, what day-to-day challenges are there. So we now here to present our solution. I'll quickly jump into this presentation. So, okay. So there's 2 slides only. So quickly go into the first slide, which indicates the brief intro of our product, which help you for this particular conference. We have made an app which help you to search. It has 4 key features. One is search, which allow you to search any specific landmark, locations, speaker, or a talk, which can also be searched through audio. So this is first thing. Second feature is locate me feature, where you can click on locate me button to know where you are exactly, your position with respect to the map. Third feature is explore your surrounding, where if you are in a particular exhibition space, you can explore what all things are around you. And fourth feature is like it can give you navigation assistance from point A to point B, where point A is selected by the localization system and point B is your destination which you can choose. I will request a demo video to be played, which give you a brief idea about the overall product.
Finding location. You are on ground floor. Stairs to a ground floor is on your left. Use top buttons to navigate. Turn right at 6 o'clock. You are near stairs to a ground floor on your left. You are near principal's office on your right. You are near committee room on your right. You are near visitor lounge on your right. You are near staff room 1 on your left.
Another quick demo of our.
So this is what it does. It simply gives you orientation about your surrounding. When you start walking, it gives you what is on your right, what is on your left. When you reach at your destination, it will tell you you have arrived your destination. This is what Google Map help all of us to reach. And this is going to help people with visual disability. Even in long run, it's going to help everyone. We considering this as an inclusive solution. This is all from my presentation. I would love to get more feedback from you. I request everyone to use the system, even without like considering even if you are accessibility disabled or not disabled, anyone can use the system to get through this navigation journey in this particular conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, next we will not have any questions and answer because There'll be enough time over the next 3 days to meet them, to experience what they have.
So we'll move on to the next presentation. This is going to be a presentation by New Motion, and they work on assistive technologies for mobility. They champion the cause of empowering the differently able to achieve true independence in life. So handing it over to them for their presentation.
Very good evening, everyone. I am Swastik Dash. I'll start with a video of our work.
मेरा 2011 में दोस्त के कंधे पर से गिरने के कारण मेरा शरीर पैरालिसिस हो गया था। इस व्हीलचेयर प्रयोग करने के बाद आसानी से हम कहीं भी जा सकते हैं, आ सकते हैं। हम लगभग 1 साल से काम कर रहे हैं इस प्रोजेक्ट पे।
It's the best India-designed wheelchair that I've sat on in 27 years.
पहले हम व्हीलचेयर से हम जो मैराथन करते थे उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा समय लगता था। इस व्हीलचेयर के प्रयोग करने के बाद टाइमिंग है वो बहुत कम हो गया। एक गाड़ी आती है जो कि इस व्हीलचेयर में आसानी से हम सेट कर सकते हैं और गाड़ी सेट करने के बाद हम आसानी से बाहर जा सकते हैं, कम स्पेस में जा सकते हैं और कहीं भी पार्किंग कर सकते हैं और गांव में चला सकते हैं। अगर गड्ढे ऊंचे नीचे हैं तो आसानी से चला सकते हैं। अभी हमको कोई डर नहीं है, हम कहीं भी जा सकते हैं।
See, I have a car that I drive. It's hand operated. But often the challenges that I face in terms of mobility is somebody to get your wheelchair, somebody to kind of load it, or even going to my parents' place. Is a huge challenge. My parents' place is only 5 minutes away, but I'll still have to take the car. With this, I just roll my wheelchair out, put the bolt on, straight away go there, and then get the bolt on out, get into the lift, and go to my parents' place. When I was riding this, the feeling of the air coming and hitting on my face, I think that's the true sign of freedom and liberation. To go to the grocery shop or to the supermarket, now my wife is going to kick my backside and I have no excuses, absolutely.
So we have two products which are commercialized, NeoFly and NeoBolt. NeoFly is a customized wheelchair. Like all of us are wearing shoes, but our shoes come in different sizes. So similarly, why should a wheelchair be of the same size? We take the individual's measurements and we build it for them so that it suits them well. And then we have an add-on, so you don't need to shift to a car or auto rickshaw. You just simply attach it and then you can go outdoors. In the last 2.5 years that we have been out in the market, there are 4,000 users who are using it right now. One of the key initiatives which we have taken is to provide employment using these products that people are doing Swiggy delivery, Zomato delivery, food delivery services. So in the last 4 to 5 months, about 180 users are using it across 20 odd locations. They've done close to 50,000 deliveries, covered 1.7 lakh kilometers and earned 30 lakhs in income for themselves. We are present here in Chennai itself, where our manufacturing we do. And we commit, sir, that 4 more products will launch this quarter, next quarter, before the end of this financial year. We'll be launching 4 more products. Neo Power, which is a joystick controlled wheelchair. Neo Stand, which is a motorized standing. Neo Light, lightweight aluminum wheelchair. And Neo Scoot, which is a safe outdoor mobility solution for anybody and especially geriatrics. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to our next presentation. This project is presented by Sresh Lab in collaboration with 10X. It's on an affordable hearing aid device and a low-cost autoacoustic emissions measurement device for audiometry screening of infants to detect hearing impairment.
A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to Empower 2023. I come from the academic background. I am Vidya Ramkumar. I am a professor at Sri Ramchandra Institute of Higher Education and Research, primarily an audiologist, speech-language pathologist. I've had a good run in the last 3 years collaborating with engineers at IIT Madras to be able to bring up low-cost solutions. So we're now currently, I'm cutting the hearing loss story really short here. Typically, hearing loss is addressed with a lot of tools, devices that are used both for screening, diagnostics, as well as rehabilitation. And one of the big issues has been that these tools, devices have been very expensive and it's been difficult to scale, especially in a country where 64% of our population lives in rural areas who don't have access to professionals nor to technology. And therefore, how do we task shift many of these to people who are non-professionals so that these services can spread far and wide, and also to be able to provide rehabilitation. So a lot of effort is happening around screening and diagnostics, but really the idea of doing all of this is to be able to provide good rehab. And we've not had good, low-cost indigenous solutions. There have been far few technologies around. How do I move to the next slide? So, Sresh Lab has already developed a low-cost behavioral screener in collaboration with Enability with Dr. Anil Prabhakar. And now we are hoping to move to a low-cost auto-acoustic emission, which is very useful for early detection of hearing loss, especially in babies, and also move to low-cost over-the-counter hearing aids, that is the non-prescriptive hearing aids. There's already been a lot of disruptive innovations around this. There are several apps. Just as I'm talking to you, there'll be 50 apps for hearing screening that gets developed. So mHealth has really been very helpful to integrate some of these solutions. There is also accessibility feature on the smartphone, so it doubles up as an amplification device. Mobile phones are being bundled along with probes to make low-cost detection devices, and noise cancellation has really been able to do away with sound booths that were traditionally required to do audiological testing. So there are two solutions, as I said, autoacoustic emissions, which is a very, very minute emission that comes out of the ear, from the inner ear, which is the cochlea. And when you measure this, it tells you the health of the hearing aspect. So to some extent, the functionality as well. And as I said, it's very useful in detecting newborn hearing loss right at birth, and it has very high sensitivity. But the limitation so far in what's available is we don't have an indigenous solution, and the costs have been prohibitive, both in procuring one-time cost as well as recurring costs. And what we buy now is not really sustainable in hot, humid conditions, which is most part of India, and it is also hugely affected by ambient noise. So we're working on an re-engineering OE to come up with low-cost, very high-sensitive microphones to be able to pick up these emissions and bring down the cost to about 1/10 of what it currently is, so that mass screening can really scale up. And the other is there are two types of hearing aids. One is the over-the-counter hearing aids, which has become very popular in countries like the US. And the other is the prescriptive hearing aids. So hearing aids, the over-the-counter hearing aids, can really help a large population of people who have mild to moderate hearing losses who don't need the prescriptive hearing aids. And app-based solutions are good for these, and they can help adults and geriatrics with mild to moderate hearing losses. Currently, what's available is limited in frequency range as well as in the intensity that it can produce, and therefore the customizability to different varieties of or configurations of hearing loss. So what we are hoping to do is to be able to expand that frequency range as well as the intensity range within app-based solutions.
Thank
so
you.
That's what we're hoping to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll have our next presentation now by Ms. Srimati. She is going to be presenting about a speech therapy app which has an innovative way to train children with hearing impairment.
Good evening, one and all. Myself, Srimati Narsimhan. I'm a speech pathologist and I work at Dr. Rela Institute and Medical Center. I head the Center for Hearing Communication and Swallow Sciences. So primarily my area of work is with people with speech and hearing and swallowing impairment. So the idea of coming up with this was when we were discussing and we were thinking like, what are the different kinds of disorders or the speech disorders which can affect children more commonly? So when we see children, in the last few years, we're noticing that there are a lot of children who have these developmental disorders and primarily affecting their communication. So when we intervene or when we provide them with therapy, They acquire language, but at some point in time, they still have this distorted speech. So, what is it that we can do for them is what we are actually talking about today. So, these kind of issues can be present in children who have a congenital issue, developmental issue, congenital problems such as hearing impairment. It could also be seen with children who have a congenital structural issue like a cleft of lip and palate, or even with children who have some sort of a neurocognitive like a cerebral palsy or mental retardation, and so on and so forth. So the project that we are trying to work on is primarily to develop an application which will help these children to learn how to produce a correct articulation of a particular sound. So this particular app will train them how to learn to produce a particular sound and also give them a real-time feedback of whether they have produced that particular sound in the right manner in the form of a distorted image if they have not achieved the correct articulation, and also give them a real-time video of the placement of their articulators. For example, when they are trying to say the sound pa, are the articulators, the lips approximating correctly? Is it approximating enough, or do they need to have more effort in producing the particular sound in the right manner? So what is unique about this is that we are trying to train them and also give them a real-time feedback, and we are also trying to reinforce the child's attempt. So this visual feedback is going to be the reinforcer, which is going to help them to learn to articulate the sound perfectly, and in turn make their speech much more intelligible. So we are looking at first to start off with at least 8 to 10 sounds, and we want to work in regional language, that is Tamil first, and then go on for other languages also. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll be moving on to our next presentation. The next presentation will be by Ms. Akila, lead of 10X, and she will be presenting about a learning disability screening application.
Hi everyone, my name is Akila. I work in the 10X initiative at IIT Madras Research Park along with Professor Ashok Junjunwala. So here we are pitching a product to screen learning disabilities. As you all know, it's a very common developmental disorder. Globally, there are at least 10 to 20% of the people are assumed to have learning disabilities. It means that they have difficulty in processing, learning information, especially to do with language, in learning maths, and in writing. So these are the different types: dyslexia, dyscalculia, and dysgraphia. And if these individuals are screened at the earliest, if it's identified, and there are all kinds of technological tools nowadays to intervene at the right time, but identification is critical, and hence that's why we are developing this first level screening tool in all Indian languages. So and it will be a very simple, easy to use app which will be powered by artificial intelligence, and it will capture a photograph of the written material of the user, and it will analyze the handwriting, the vocabulary, the common spelling mistakes, and it will give a score, and in that way you'll be able to know whether that individual is at a risk for any of these learning disabilities or not. So yeah, that's a basic picture of how we envision the app to look like, and that's our product development timeline. So the promise is that we will try to commercialize this product within the next few months, within a year, hopefully. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on to our next presentation. This is going to be presented by Ms. Cinderella. It's a mobile application that can convert sign language to text and voice in any Indian language and vice versa. She will now explain about the app.
Hello everyone. Ladies and gentlemen and esteemed guests and fellow entrepreneurs, it's an honor and privilege to stand before you today and share our project. So, in the field of linguistics, we confront a challenge that surpasses mere language barriers. Sign language, specifically Indian Sign Language, it's the most expressive and intricate means of communication. So, the presence of void for a platform where thoughts of the speech and hearing impaired can be effectively communicated or executed is what we are working on. So, our solution is a mobile application that converts speech and text into Indian Sign Language and vice versa, also sign language into speech as well. Therefore, we offer accessible communication and increased independence for the hearing and speech impaired. So, with our product, we try to achieve bridging the communication gap, accessibility and independence, enhance social interaction, educational opportunities, and inclusive technologies. So, to explain the working of the model, our idea is to create an app that recognizes the Indian Sign Language and converts it into speech or also into another Indian Sign Language gesture. So, for this project, we have designed a deep learning model that can recognize any ISL gesture, that is Indian Sign Language gesture, and then get the corresponding text. The text can then be translated into a required language using the machine translation model, and the translation text is next fed as input into the text to speech model. The same app can be used for translating speech in Indian language into sign language. The text and input language is converted into English language by machine translator, which was developed in IITM, and then fed into a sign language generator model, which generates the avatar. So, this way, the app offers two-way communication, not only translating speech to ISL, but also converting speech in Indian languages into sign language, fostering comprehensive communication. In the end, I would like to conclude our project, Indian Sign Language, to text and voice in various Indian languages, while not only looking at this as an app, also as a catalyst for the change and inclusivity. We are looking forward for the potential it holds and creating a more inclusive society. We are hopeful that within 6 months or so, we will be able to bring it to the launching stage. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much. Next presentation will be by Ms. Grishma, who has worked on a real-time speech transcription application to support communication for persons with hearing impairment.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Grishma Susan John, and I'm here to present before you an application that will be doing real-time transcription for people with hearing impairment. So we know that in the mainstream society, the people with hearing impairment are usually have challenges in communicating and responding. So in such society, what if we have an app which you can type in, and it will act as your voice in real time. So initially, the app will be aiming to develop will be to just transcribe in real time whatever you're typing to a person who can hear. It will be transcribed into a voice, and a person who can hear will be producing this, will be talking to you in normal text, and it will be transcribed into a text into your mobile. So the features that this app provides is live conversation. So when you are live and talking to a person, then this conversation will happen in real time. And the second thing is, in case of a phone call or a video call, you can just see the mobile phone, and you can see whatever the person is talking in the other end. And one of the major features that we are providing is the multiple Indian language support in any languages that is in India. So the basic working of this app will be that it will be first fed into there is a text-to-speech model which will be converting whatever speech we are doing into the corresponding text, and that will be sent to the person. This is the same thing like what I explained. It will be sent to a person who can hear, and when they reply back in a speech, they will be converted back into text, and this will be in the mobile phone application, and the person can read it. So thank you so much. This is the product image.
Thank you so much. Our next presentation will be a smart communication gloves for deaf-blind persons for them to communicate through tactile inputs.
Hi, good evening to all. My name is Joel. I'm working in the Street Tech team. in the research park. So I know you had a very tiresome day. So I will quickly move to the product. So what we are trying to, or
Speak
what our
closer
team,
to the mic, please.
okay, so what our team is trying to develop is a smart glove that can help the deaf-blind person to like communicate with the outside world. So as you know, the deaf blindness is a it's a dual sensory impairment that will affect the hearing and sightness. So that will be make it difficult for them to communicate to the outside world without knowing a common language. So in the 19th century, a deaf-blind inventor named Hieronymus Lom had invented a Lom alphabet, just tactile, that will help them to communicate. So what happens is like the speaker has to hold the hand of a reader, and he has to move the hands or trace the lines on the hand to communicate to the reader. So the issue is we have to have a physical contact with the person, and both of them should know the Lom language. So what we are trying to do is remove that issue and develop a smart glove that the person can hear, like wear, and like they can communicate with the others. So we have made slight modifications to the Lom alphabet. So it will be having these digits on the inputs, like you can see on the images. Coming to the product, so it will be a wearable glove that will have pressure sensors as input and vibration motors as output. So, for example, if a person, like a typical person, says good morning to the deafblind person, then he can uh, the words will be captured by the mobile phone, and that words will be like translated to Lom language, and the corresponding areas where the motors are connected, that will produce vibrations. So the deaf-blind person will be able to know what they are trying to speak. In case he wants to speak back, like say hello, he can give haptic inputs through the Lom alphabets, and the gloves will be connected to the mobile phone, which will be like placed to a visible location for the on the deaf-blind person, and that phone will be translating the haptic inputs to the text, so that the outside person can see whatever they are speaking. So we are trying to develop this product, and we think that this will be helpful for the community. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be moving on to our next presentation. This is going to be presented by Ms. Pauravi. She and her team have worked on a customized adaptive device providing people living with a compromised hand access to a one-stop clinic with all facilities.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. So myself, Porvi Kedia, and I'm an occupational therapist currently working in Bangalore. Our solution is customized adaptive devices for people with hand impairments. So, according to data, 1 out of 6 people in India currently require some form of adaptive devices. But only 3% of this population is able to access these devices. So, for the same, to meet the rest of the 97% need, we are making these adaptive devices. So, adaptive devices, in simple terms, is any piece of equipment or a small system which increases or maintains the functional abilities of a person. So, for the same, I will demonstrate 2 videos to you. So, in the first one, you can see that she's a small girl who's unable to write with her right hand. The most easiest way to tell her is to start writing with her left hand, but we don't recommend that. Instead, we come up with a solution. It is a customized solution for this girl. So in the second video, you can see there's a adaptive device in her hand which is helping her to color in the square that she has made. So this is, in simple terms, adaptive devices. You can have adaptive devices for multiple functional activities in your daily living. So currently, we are a very small team of occupational therapists working in various places in India, like Mumbai, Kerala, Chennai, Karnataka. But we plan that to make a franchise model with the support of IIT Madras and multiple partners to create multiple hand rehab centers focusing on these low technology adaptive devices. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presentation will be by Wemby Technologies, who have worked on a device called Hexis, which is an electronic braille reader for people with visual impairment.
Good evening. My name is Rajagopal. I am from a company called Wemby Technologies based in Bangalore. We develop educational aids for the visually impaired children. So the problem we are trying to solve is the lack of braille books in the schools. So if you go to a special school for the visually impaired children, they are taught braille, but they do not have enough material to read. There are many reasons for that. My biggest reason is it needs a special braille machine called brailler to do the the braille books. The machine is costly. The paper is a special paper, and there are logistical issues of printing and distributing to the school. So they have very limited availability of books, and this is the state of textbooks. And it's even worse if you consider the lack of books in their mother tongue or non-textbook material. So there is a big drought of books available, in the blind school, which is the problem we are trying to solve. So this is the product. Like basically, it has two parts. The left-hand side is a hardware called as Hexis, which is a refreshable braille display, but it is completely re-engineered from the beginning for a visually impaired child in mind, not adult in mind. And the right-hand side is a software piece which is called as Antara, which converts any text content into braille, and it is downloaded into the device through Wi-Fi with zero configuration. So together, we are able to solve the problem of converting any content into braille and instantaneously downloading into the machine, and the child can read, on the go. So these are the unique features of our product. It's a child-specific design. We worked with IIT Guwahati design department to come up with the design of this product, which has a special handle so that a child can take it easy. It's a lightweight product, battery-based product, and it has a long battery life. Second thing is that it has a curated child-specific content. Instead of giving just a piece of product and not giving content, we provide enough content and a continuously supply of curated content based on the age and based on the reading level, so that their vocabulary and the reading levels improve. Third is that we support English as well as all the Indian languages. And we have audio support, we are trying to add features like, if you read an English word and you do not know the meaning, you can press a key and understand the meaning of that particular word in your mother tongue. So it will help people to learn English, and which is a very important thing in today's world. And it's a portable device, and it's a battery based, and it also provides powerful analytics. Like there is no use if you give content and we don't know whether the child has read it and how much it is reading. So we provide powerful analytics which will help a teacher to know which are the content the child is reading, and therefore you can give appropriate content like that. And it has a inbuilt Wi-Fi and inbuilt SD card. So all the content is downloaded into the device, and it is, you don't need internet for use. You just need it only for downloading. We follow something like a Kindle model where you need internet only for downloading. And last but not the least, it is the most affordable reader, child-specific reader, because as I showed, it designed from ground up. It's just 4 keys, next line, previous line, open and close. With this, we are able to, bring a lot of content to the child, and we try to bridge the gap, which is the lack of books and the content for a visually impaired child. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Our final presentation in our assistive technology product lineup will be by a young duo from Panoculon Labs who are working on a navigation application called Drishti for persons with visual impairment.
A very good evening to everyone. I am Harsha. This is my friend Sriraj. We both are two undergraduate students from IIT Madras, and we are the co-founders of Pinoculon Labs.
Hi. At Pinoculon Labs, we are committed to developing cutting-edge environment perception systems which help humans and machines better understand the world around them. We have always been and will always be a user-first company which focus on user needs and comforts in product development. As part of India's, if not world's best deep tech ecosystem, we are committed to using state-of-the-art technology to address social challenges.
Yeah, cutting straight to our product, our first product is an assistive technology device. So that is Drishti. So Drishti at its core is a speech-enabled chest-mounted assistive technology device. And that is basically using visual odometry and other high advanced cutting-edge technologies to help the visual impaired navigate in their daily life. It has features ranging from speech detection, face recognition, text recognition, and also help them avoid obstacles. And our headline feature is the orientation and navigation feature, which is majorly for indoors. So this basically allows the visually impaired people sort of navigate from place A to B with assistive tech, that is Drishti. While testing out the orientation and navigation features, we stumbled upon its many applications in other fields. So through that, we started experimenting, and through that was born Disha.
As said, Disha is an infrastructure agnostic navigation solution for indoors and GPS denied environments. I need to focus a bit on infrastructure agnostic part. What is infrastructure agnostic? Imagine a navigation system which can help you navigate not only in a complex building like IITM Research Park, but also in the depths of the ocean and in subterranean tunnels of Mars. That is what we aim to achieve using Disha. So Disha is resource smart and it can run on smartphones. So it is optimized and it doesn't use much computing resources. Disha does not need to connect to internet. So no need of satellite, no need of any external placeholders. Infrastructure agnostic. As I mentioned, it does not depend on any external agents to help you navigate in any place. No need for even mapping. So if many of you might have noticed, we have placed our Disha demo in most of the lift lobbies. Feel free to check that out and give us constructive opinions from your end.
Also adding on, Disha can also be used for partially visually impaired people by adding voice assistance, and this can again help them navigate indoors. Thank you so much. That is our product.
Thank you so much. And those were the 11 assistive technology products. They hope to impact across different kinds of disabilities, and we hope to see them getting scaled commercially within the next 12 months. We now come to the next segment of our evening's program with a fireside chat with three individuals who have made significant contributions to the world of technology, inclusivity, and innovation. A conversation that promises to be both enlightening and inspiring. Firstly, please join me in welcoming Professor Ashok Junjunwala, the President of IIT Madras Research Park and Incubation Cell. His expertise and mentorship has played a pivotal role in shaping the future of technology and entrepreneurship. Next, I invite Ms. Sabriye Tenbarkan, co-founder of Kantari. Her tireless dedication to empowering social change leaders is truly commendable. And also welcoming Ms. Nirmita Narasimhan, the program director at Saksham and a senior fellow and program director at Global Initiative for Inclusive ICT. Her work is, again, nothing short of groundbreaking. Can we have a round of applause for all our delegates?
There is a microphone there. There is a microphone. There should be a microphone there. Is there a microphone here? You have a microphone? No, we'll give you a microphone. Thank you very much. This is a kind of a what's called fireside chat. I don't know much about things. I'm going to get the two of our distinguished speakers to talk. I want to again begin by saying that this evening, when Open Air Theatre at IIT Madras, we celebrated the people with disability, basically saying that they can be empowered to enjoy life and display the enjoyment of life as well as anybody else. We did this with a small basketball game and a beautiful dance where everyone joined. And I want to repeat that we are going to repeat that on 7th evening at 4:30. So try not missing that. What is this Empower Conference all about? This is, the very name says that we want to empower people. And so that they can participate fully in life as well as any other person. What we did, that instead of normal inauguration, we presented 11 young people who promised to deliver. But these are early products. I will say 11 should become 22 next year and probably 33 next year. And if we have 50 to 60 products that India makes and makes them affordable, extremely user-friendly, it can transform the whole situation. They have to be, of course, highly affordable. This is the commitment of IIT Madras by people like Sujata, Anil Prabhakar and others, and IIT Madras Research Park, and the whole Empower organizers, Bala, everyone who has been actually conceived of this for years and have been driving this. In this fireside chat, I have two people. Sabriya, she comes from Germany, studied Tibetology, went to Tibet and found there was a huge bias against people with disability, particularly blind children. And she took upon herself to change the situation and has worked ever since in that. It's the first time I'm meeting her, but very impressed with whatever I have read about her. Of course, Akhila knows her very well and has talked to me often about you, so we are looking forward to your statement. Then we have Nirmita. Nirmita is a person about whom I had heard a lot. She was a founder of Center for Internet and Society in Bangalore. And she was, for quite some time, pushing that how, number one, internet should be available for every person, and how internet should positively impact the society. Of course, since then we are having many negative impacts on the society that internet has brought in, but she started this whole thing. So I had heard about her for years. I happened to meet her a few years back in Burma. Is that correct? I think we met him. And I was talking to her, and suddenly I found that she could not see well. Till that time, I had never realized the person who could not see well has some kind of a visible disability, impairment, was able to actually lead Center for Internet and Society. Very impressed with her work. I don't know as much about her work with the people with disability, but I certainly know about her work for Center for Internet and Society. So I'll request each of them maybe open up by maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Sabriya, can you start about yourself, about your work, and what do you think? The objective, as I told you, to get every person with disability and people with geriatrics the appropriate, affordable assistive technology device.
Okay. Can you hear me? Is this working? Ah, yeah, it's working. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction and the warm welcome. And yeah, good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Sabria, and I'm the co-founder of not only of the First School for the Blind in Tibet, but also of Kantari. In Kantari, we are training social visionaries from all around the world who really make a difference in many, many different areas, not only in the area of disability, but also in the area of, or in war zones. They started peace academies. They started environmental projects. They started campaigns against the killings of albinos, and so on and so forth. So whoever comes to Kerala and to Trivandrum and wants to see this place with some very inspiring people from all around the world, you're very, very welcome. Yeah, I'm also very happy to be here in Empower, and I'm happy to celebrate technology. After all, we all love our technology. But I am also here, I feel, to put a little fire, because we are here at the fireside, right? And to put a little bit of spice in the soup, maybe. And I would like to talk about something that I hear very, very seldom in conferences where it's about technology. And I want to claim three major, or I want to state three major imperatives. The first imperative is before empower us. Let's say it like this. Empower us, and I would say empower the blind. I would now talk for the blind. Empower us, the blind, before we become completely dependent on technology. That's my first claim. The second claim is, please, don't decide for us what is good for us, but include us not only as end users, but also as co-producers, as co-developers, as co-innovators. I saw 11 people here talking about amazing projects, but I didn't see one person with a disability who presented their inventions. That's a bit sad. And thirdly, I would like to say we should all focus on what really matters. Now, why do I say this? There are a lot of products that are out in the market, and I was used many, many times as guinea pig for endless creative inventions. And I do feel there are some things which are really, really urgent. One thing is STEM. I just sat next to somebody who talks tomorrow about STEM. Mathematics. I'm very, very worried that I'm in the country where there's zero, where mathematics was basically developed and invented. And we have a lot of blind kids who are basically math illiterate because they can opt out of math after 8th grade. This is really worrisome. And I think internet, of course, is also the other barrier that we have, and that we really have to work together on to overcome the barrier that means website inaccessibility. A lot of websites, also, by the way, from the Indian government, unfortunately, it's very difficult for a blind person to apply for a visa. The website is just not accessible. And I think we do have the need to really work on things that matter right now and here and in this society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yamita?
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and I would like to begin by acknowledging the developments that have happened over the past 20 years. For me, it's a difference between me being here and me not being here, right? And a lot has happened since the time when we had no solutions and we had to depend on people to read out for us or help us around. So Yes, I think we have come a far way from that. But where do we go from here and what is happening? And I think that is what we want to discuss. How do we take this forward? I would not like to talk about a laundry list of assistive technologies, which I think need to be developed, because this is something which keeps shifting, keeps emerging. As new technologies come, we need to be compatible with them. As new needs develop, and different people have different needs. So what I would like to focus on today is, there is so much being developed out there in terms of mainstream technologies. And I would really like to see that all these technologies are born accessible, that there is accessibility thought of every time a product is being made. We do need assistive technologies, but I would also like, it's like the mobile phone, right? And it's accessible to everybody in some way. And it's we can just add on things which we want to it, but the basic device remains the same. And maybe I would like to see daily use technologies which are not, it's not so complicated. It does not always have to be complicated, right? Your technology is around you, TV, microwave, even these kind of things. So I think we need to broaden our thinking, and I think that should come from classrooms where we learn engineering, where we learn computer, where we learn anything that we learn, because everything has an element of universal design in there. So I think education, attitude, and then of course the technologies. And India it's difficult in India, right? I was seeing a lot of these wonderful technologies which were being displayed, and I thought, wow, it's really difficult to get this out in all these languages, and they have to be easy. And what if people are, you go to a place and two people are talking different languages, and your, software is only picking up one. So it's complex, and we all have to work through it together. And I agree with Sabria that it has to be with us, and with more developers on the team. So I think with that, I will rest for now, and we can take the chat forward.
So I'm only going to react. I'm not prepared, and therefore ask questions as it emerges. The first question to both of you: what are the technologies that has emerged in last 10 years that you have personally found useful? The one that has changed, that has impacted your life positively, and you are able to use those technologies to empower yourself. So start with something. Just name a few such technologies and tell us about it.
Yeah, I must say I'm a Braille lover, and I'm a big promoter of Braille. This is not normal nowadays anymore. A lot of people think that Braille is ancient and we don't need to use Braille anymore. And I must say, in my opinion, Braille is the matter, or is the tool for being literate. I became blind at the age of 12, and I learned Braille in a few days only, not because I'm so smart, but because Braille is actually very easy to learn, and it's very logical. Now, Braille is something that is definitely an old technology. For all of us, it seems to be an old technology, but it can also be digitalized. And we heard already from Raj Kubal, I think. He showed us a little device for children, and I'm absolute supporter of that, to train blind children in these Braille, in small Braille device where they can read books. I have a similar device that helped me to co-found Kantari, to be constantly active with people. It's a very, very small note taker. It's not produced anymore, unfortunately. Therefore, I hold it very dear to my heart and try not to get any water to it or rain to it. So it's a small device which is called Pronto. And this Pronto has everything that I need to work on. It's just a little computer, just much smaller. And while sighted people have to walk around with big laptop bags, I just have it around my neck normally and can type wherever I am. Now this is something for Braille users, and I really want to encourage everyone, all the sighted who are with blind people and who see that blind people are not taking Braille seriously, please, please encourage blind people to learn how to use Braille, because Braille, in my opinion, is the only door to literacy. I see very often letters of blind people, and I can see very quickly whether they are using speech synthesizers all day long or they're using Braille. The Braille readers are much better writers as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted, however, to figure out whether in 5 to 10 years anything new has emerged. What
That
you are
was
telling
last 10
is
years.
that Braille
Yeah.
has been there and that is good enough.
No. I said in the last 10 years, of course, this Braille was put in a digital form, in a digital device. So it's a very small computer, a Braille computer.
But it
But you
has
can only use
disappeared.
it if you know Braille.
It has disappeared.
This is not working anymore, or the company has died down. But of course, there are other note takers.
We'll talk
Orbit,
about,
for example,
we'll
is
talk
there
about
too.
why that company died out. Can we first take?
Yes, answer is easy. Screen readers, NVDA, open source. So that I think that really helped. Until then,
You speak closer to your mouth.
Okay, yeah. So initially it was introduction to JAWS, which was unaffordable, and then I shifted to NVDA because also one of the CIS projects we had was to develop text-to-speech for Indian languages on an open source screen reader, which was NVDA, and I think that really that is one of my favorite technologies. Also, mobile phones. That's clearly one of the most empowering technologies for me, with the bundle of assistive features that it has. And I keep seeing new features pop up. For example, I use an iPhone, and what I really like about thing is, irrespective of people sending me inaccessible images, I get, the phone describes this, voiceover describes what is there in that poster or in that screenshot. So I like the idea of technologies which negate barriers imposed by people, whether they do it deliberately or not. So if that is an emerging trend, I'm very happy with that. And the other technology that I use is Kindle, because I read a lot. And that's also improving every time.
Can you repeat?
The Kindle, yeah.
Going back to so Sabret talked about a wonderful device she had. It is no longer being produced. What do you think, why it is not being produced? If it is such a wonderful device, why have people stopped using it? Was it too expensive? What was the problem?
No,
and
that
why
was not
why is it kind of not available anymore?
No. This device was one of the top devices in Germany or in Europe, even in America. There was some internal politics or international politics that really turned down the company. So it had nothing to do with the device. It's the Rolls-Royce amongst the Braille note takers. It's not the only one. I mean, there are lots of note takers. One is produced here in India, which is equally good, and or maybe not as good, but it is almost as good. And I'm very much supporting that device as well. For me, what is very important is that we should focus more on Braille again, and not necessarily on Braille on paper, because Braille on paper, especially in the tropics, I live in Kerala, is not doesn't have a long life, so to say. But Braille as an assistive or as a device next to speech, I'm always also for speech, but as a combination, Braille and speech, I think we, the blind, then become much, much faster in everything we do and much more exact.
Thank you. Namrita, have you used a device like this? How useful have you found? And
No, I'm afraid I didn't learn Braille.
you haven't learned.
No.
Why do you think that without learning Braille you are able to? When did you stop seeing?
It was gradual over school, so it was already, by that time, I was already in the 11th and 12th. I did learn Braille a little at that time, but I guess by that time I also got introduced to technologies, and I was in my 12th, and I didn't have time to practice, because you need to practice if you need to read fast. And I was still able to enlarge things and read them. And yeah, and then I just moved on to technology, so I never had the need.
One of the things that about Mita I was very, very amazed is that you led, created, helped create and led Center for Internet and Society, which made a huge difference to the country in terms of opening up internet and making internet available to everyone. I'm not talking about people with disability. Even for all people, you have driven. How were you able to do that with your, with what was the restriction because of your limited visibility? Was that a restriction? How were you able to do that?
So I was a co-founder with 3 other people, right? Sunil Abraham, Nishant Shah, and Pranish Prakash. And I was primarily interested in accessibility. But at CIS, there were different programs, access to knowledge and privacy, and a lot of programs kept emerging. So one thing we followed was, while we were involved in our programs, I'd say I was not primarily involved in other things, but I would ensure that they are accessible and we get to give feedback to whatever documents were going on and things like that. So I am not the primary change maker in that, although we used to be involved in terms of all staff being involved in all projects and getting updates and exchanging ideas as to how we could feed into one another. Yeah, I used to, and as an organization, we had to ensure that any documents or anything that was done had to be accessible. Otherwise, it was a strict no-no. So.
Coming back to the devices, technologies, and how should they be designed, how should they be user-friendly, or how should they be acceptable by the user. So can I continue asking, if an entrepreneur makes a device, any device, doesn't matter is it for people with disability or for any other product. An entrepreneur lives only if that device becomes usable very widely. Entrepreneur survives and flourishes only if the product is widely used. Otherwise, entrepreneur dies. Then the very meaning of entrepreneurship basically means that they have to either sell their product and make money and expand, or if they are not able to, they will fizzle out. So, two things, as far as I am concerned, I am making a statement and then I want reaction. Two things I kind of take for granted. The entrepreneur to flourish will have to make the product which user likes or user enjoys. If user does not like or enjoy, the entrepreneur will die. Number two, the entrepreneur has to make a product which is affordable to the user, because if the product is not affordable, the entrepreneur will die. We are quite okay with entrepreneur trying and either make it user friendly, which user is a device which user accepts, and affordable, or die. There will be other entrepreneurs who will come up and who will make affordable and user-friendly product. So this is the proposition that I am making, that entrepreneur by very definition will make a product which is usable and will be affordable. What are your comments on that? Maybe you start with you. Huh? Yeah, you can start with.
Hello? Yeah, okay. So you're talking about if it's not scalable, then of course the person will die, right?
Yeah.
That's your...
Yes.
See, I have a little problem with that, I must say, because I do feel entrepreneurs who are into assistive technology are maybe, and they are really interested in making business, are maybe not at the right field. And I tell you why. In the right field. People who want to make money through assistive technology are maybe not in the right field. Okay, this is my opinion. You might have a different opinion. And I tell you why. And I tell it to you from a very, very, or from a blind perspective. I don't know two blind persons in this world who see the world from the same perspective. It's very, very different how we react towards situations, how we orient, how we learn, how we even see. I mean, for example, when you would ask me, I don't see anything. I don't see light and dark, and it's still not dark for me. It's absolutely light, and I can see whatever I imagine, right? I can see you. I have eye contact with you, and I still don't see anything. Now, with other blind people, it's completely different, right? They have a completely different perspective on life and use different senses, or use maybe not their visual cortex so much, but another part of the brain. Therefore, this also transferred to other disabilities. Every disability is so different. We have right now, or we had in the last 3-4 years, we had 5 wheelchair users who all were completely different in what they were able to do and what they were able not to do, right? So for me, in my opinion, it is very, very difficult, and it is also not so fair to talk about scaling when it is about assistive technology. I do feel, first of all, include us, develop it with the people who need it. That's the first thing. And then you will see that these assistive technologies become very tailored.
Thank you. Thank you. Amrita?
So here's the thing. I think of assistive technology, and if I am an entrepreneur, it has to have a business case as well, right? I do want, of course, that assistive technology. For me, ideal situation, it's completely affordable and scalable. But I also feel that, like any other product, there are different markets, right? And you do have a segment of people with disabilities who are willing to pay more. Maybe it's like these luxury items and these everyday items. And the iPhone, for example, I mean, there are so many people with disabilities, and ideally you would want it to be affordable, but it is not for everybody, but there are people buying it. So I wouldn't say that if a product is very expensive, that entrepreneur, as you put it, dies, right? It just depends on whether you're able to scale something, whether you get the right market, and people, you're able to tap into the market. It's not just out there, but you have to connect with the organizations who are connected with the users, and so it's not so simple as saying unaffordable dies. It's inexpensive, it's scale. So maybe the entrepreneur may decide to have 2 versions of the item, and it could be any way.
No, I understand what you're saying, but you have to have the right number of customers multiplied by the margins that you can make in each product to basically survive and flourish. So there can be a very low cost product, then you require a very large number of customers. You can have a very niche kind of product with small number of customers. The cost can be high. As long as they are willing to pay, the entrepreneur will survive. So,
or we can also think differently. What kind of materials do we use? Do we always have to use materials that or do we have to create products that we cannot repair ourselves, right? I mean, these are also ideas which are especially important because we have to think of the future. We have a future with lesser resources, right? So we do need to rethink affordability also in this way.
Thank you, thank you. I want to go to the next thing. So many things I have very similar view, but some differences are there. We have, for example, in Research Park now, Sujata Srinivasan, person who has been working with people with disability, with what do you call it? Mobility disability. Is that the correct terminology? She has a wonderful lab that she has created. And I hope we are going to visit to that lab. We have some time. It's a user center. Primarily, it is a user experience center where people with mobility disability spend most of the time figuring out what is useful, what is not useful, and she gets that input, and based on that input, she starts designing the product. And probably one of the best products that I have seen, at least in India, is this wheelchair that NeoMotion has come up with. What is the most interesting thing about that product is that today it is bringing jobs to a large number of people with mobility disability. Not just that, we'll probably discuss this tomorrow in more detail. Banks are now willing to come and fund the product to the user so that user can actually buy that product, pay an installment, and get jobs. Most important is that they get jobs. I think this is something that is done. So if you see this example, this is not a very inexpensive product. Today it costs about ₹1 lakh. And yet, first, there is a very strong user needs. And whenever we have talked to the user, they have said, this has changed my life. And we want product like this. And of course, continuously, you are looking at improvement and doing the next product. At the same time, you are also helping create jobs. So this is an example that I wanted to actually talk about. I'll say not entirely. There are people with disability who are participating in creation. There are people who are in Sujata's lab which does that, but there are other people also. But creating a product which becomes useful and which can help get employment makes a huge difference. So I think you will see that, you will see the experience center, and probably you have seen the NeoMotion wheelchair. Again, I want to repeat that today the performance that we saw, where people were able to enjoy, play basketball, changing lives of people, I think is extremely critical. What's your comment on that? And in light of that, what do you want to say in what you are saying? So start with Sabriya.
Okay. You want to comment about the performances? About creating jobs? Absolutely, yeah. I'm for technology that also creates jobs, but I'm also especially for technology that is, or for jobs in technology where people who are blind, who are in a wheelchair, create their own technology. That would be my heaven in a way. And I would like to see empowered blind and empowered wheelchair users who have the innovative skills and the creative skills to work hand in hand and on the same eye level with inventors. I must say in my life I had a lot of inventors or friends who are inventors and innovators, and we had a great time together. I created the Tibetan Braille system, and for this we together, hand in hand, we created a system where we used the regular keyboard and just typing FDS and JKL in Tibetan, and then it came on the screen in Tibetan black print. That was in the beginning of the 90s. Later, it was used by sighted people who needed to type very, very fast. So they had to learn my Tibetan Braille script in order to be really fast typers. And they were typing for archives. Now, this was definitely a great situation when I sat with computer specialists together, and where computer specialists, sighted and blind people were working hand in hand. So this is my take on jobs in technology. So not just users, but actually becoming creators.
Thank you.
Yes, I think this is kind of connected to our last comment, that even if technologies have to solve some real world problems, then even if they are inexpensive, people buy them. And yes, of course, at the end of the day, you need quality of life. You need to live, you need jobs, and that's one of the most important things. And you need to have an education. And having made this technology, I would also think that while we prepare, work on more futuristic products, we should also simultaneously work on now bringing the cost down. So we have to work on both these things together.
Thank you. I think with this, I will try to, I'll wind up this inauguration session. There is no question and answer because over the next 2 days, all the sessions will have question and answer. This was a kind of opening session. Wanted to introduce the two of them, wanted to introduce the various youngsters who are actually promising to deliver technologies. And I know I clearly heard a comment from our friend out there that why are we being left out? You are not being left out. If you can come up with products which can help yourself and everybody else, our job will be to try to get it to everyone who needs it and who can use it. That's what the Empower is, and it is about a more fulfilling life in every way. For example, when again I want to point out that when I interviewed a lot of users of the Neomotion wheelchair, one of the most interesting thing that I heard from one person that for me, the biggest thing that has happened is that today I can take my child, newly born child, maybe few months, 6 months old, and drive all the way to even a shopping center and take them around. And this is in manner the biggest joy that I can even imagine. And so the person first did say that for me, it was a matter of going back to work or not going back to work. But then say that that was one part, but the other joy was to even take a child around and feel that. So I totally agree with what you said, that it has to be a more fulfilling life. Only thing that I will say, that people who have means to otherwise earnings or some way or other to take care of their daily needs, maybe for them other things will be very, very important. But for the people who do not have means to survive, the most important thing will be earning in some manner. So I will say in India, a large number of people with disability, we have to ensure that if they need job, I agree that if they don't need job, if they need jobs, jobs should be provided. That's the first, that technologies must help them get the jobs. That is all that I will sort of say. There are people who may not need jobs, who may come from wealthy family or may have some other means of income and may not consider the job as the most important. But there are many, many in India, very large number of people in India, able to earn or not able to earn is the difference of life and death. And for them, technology must first help them get the earning. And secondly, it must, in all ways, it must be a fulfilling life. Again, I want to repeat, when I saw the people on wheelchair playing a basketball, this is a more fulfilling life. When I saw them doing the dance, it's a more fulfilling life. And that's what we are all committed to. Over the next 2 days, you'll have plenty of opportunity to discuss with people, and we'll certainly figure out a way of listening to you, sir. Person, I did not allow question and answer because I think we need to wind this up. We are already late. We have a dinner now. And we will have dinner. We'll have an occasion to discuss. But over the next 2 days, we'll have a lot of sessions where there will be questions and answers. With this, I want to thank our two fireside chat panelists, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And we are short. We didn't have enough time, but I think we got you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And with this, we come to the end of our inaugural event. We hope there was lots to take away and definitely more to look forward to across the next few days of Empower. A quick announcement, dinner is going to be served on the 6th floor, so you can kindly proceed and make your way down. Wishing you all a wonderful evening ahead and an insightful conference across the next 2 days. Thank you all very much.
So please